In a recent short, we painted an Emperor's Children model. This one. The idea was to make the whole thing a gradient, starting from dark purple, which is our terrestrial titan, to diabolic plum, which is kind of a dark magenta vibrant purple. Blending in some smooth transitions between the colours before working all the way up to wicked pink. And then still keeping those smooth transitions between the diabolic plum and the wicked pink. We can ignore the rest of this. After that and highlighting with weird elixir, we were done and all went according to plan. But now, there's a new plan. In this video, I'm going to show you how I approach blending and hypersaturation. The first time we finished this model, it was fine, and some people would honestly probably prefer it. I'm sure I'll hear about that in the comments. But it didn't feel done to me, because I don't want an Emperor's Children model that feels like it came out of a book. I want Emperor's Children that feel like they're about to get hyped up and make a few bad decisions at a 4-day rave. Well, 3 days, but you're not going to work after that. When we finish the video, we're about halfway through the gradient that I have in mind. We already have the Terrestrial Titan to Diabolic Plum and Diabolic Plum to Wicked Pink. So now we just need to get into the superheated colours, going from Wicked Pink to Burning Ore. Thanks to this being one that we've already prepared earlier, we're already halfway through the scheme and we've already built up into Wicked Pink. So to start off, we're going to start looking at a transition colour. This is a 50-50 mix between Wicked Pink and Burning Ore. But there's a difference between a 50-50 mix and a ratio. I may as well just show you. Step 1 in the Return of Captain Obvious, we need our two colours. A 50-50 mix is taking the two colours and creating a third colour that is right in the middle of the two. And for this one specifically, orange is a lot stronger than this pink, so we need less orange and more pink. If they were equal parts, that would be a 1-to-1 ratio. Because a ratio is how much of each creates the mix. And since we're going to talk about blending, I'm going to show you the consistency that we're working with. For transition colours and general blending, I work fairly thin. It lets us lay down a smoother application of paint so you're not getting any texture, and by working with semi-transparent layers, it lets a little bit of the previous colour show through, and that helps soften the tonal change so it's a lot smoother of a blend. Even though we already have that sweet 50-50 mix already laid down, you can see the orange on top is still thin enough that it changes the colour just that little bit. And those kinds of gradual changes is really what does the work for us when it comes to blending. Another tip is to paint a little bit further than you think you want it. Because when you come back in with the previous colour to blend that transition through, it will soak up a little bit of that space. And now that we're done with the colour that looks somewhere between a sunburn and a smacked ass, we can come back in with pure Burning Ore. When it comes to painting a gradient in like this, I like to paint in one full section of where I want the colour and then start to come in and feather out the edges. Feathering is when you take a paint that's usually already applied and you start shifting it around until it gradually fades away. And while you can usually get some fairly good results with feathering by itself, I generally find it's a great stepping stone to then start glazing the transition. But on how far you want to take that smoothness is completely up to you. All I'm after with this one is to blur out the line from where the two different colours meet. As long as we can't see the step up in different layers, I'm happy enough. If you've been watching the channel for a while, you know that I'm not that big of a fan of doing product placements inside of videos. But sometimes it's nice to say thank you. There's a few reasons I actually get to do this as a full-time gig, and the main one is all of our awesome members on Patreon. And then of course, there's two businesses that actually came to the table. The Army Painter and InGames. And that actually helps you guys out too, because the Army Painter gave us the code Heresy5 for 5% discount off their entire range on their web store. And then InGame stepped up with that same Heresy5 code for everybody in Australia to get 5% off their Army Painter product. And as much as I feel like a shield sometimes doing ads inside of videos, it is what it is. But thank you. Now it's time to shift from Burning Ore into our Moonbeam Yellow. We're going to use the exact same steps from earlier with layering up and feathering out. And with that covered, it's probably time to start talking about saturation. There's two things here that are going to come back and bite us in the ass. The first one is, as paints dry, they usually appear darker than when they're first applied. And two, because we have thinned our paints down and they are more transparent than usual, they're going to dry darker again. So how do we get around this? One word: opacity. That's right, the one thing that I've been telling you to do the complete opposite of just about the entire video is what we're aiming for. Thinning paints and lowering the transparency is great for smoothness in both blends and physical texture. But to keep the saturation and the brightness of all of these colors, we have to build up to a full opacity. And the only way to do that is just to keep painting. We're going to keep adding layers of the same color until we get to full opacity where that last coat just looks like the color that we're actually using. And we're going to do that with every single color. But don't rely on the old saying of too thin coats. Every paint is different and will behave in a slightly different way even if they're from the same set and same manufacturer. It could take 3, 4 or more coats if you're using a lighter color on top of a darker color, which is basically every single time that we're doing this. There's no real trick to it, you just kind of have to keep painting and trust your gut until you think it's there. Yellow typically sucks to paint with, so it's got low coverage, but the Fanatics are also really great at covering, so I think I used probably about 3 coats on this one. And now all we have to do is fight the darkness. As paints dry, they do become that little bit darker. So the easiest way to get around this one is to paint a little bit lighter. So for this last step, we're going straight into semi-highlighting, using those same blending ideas with a lighter color, this time from Moonbeam Yellow into Space Dust. And just like my rugged good looks, this too will fade. But by building up later to start with, it's actually going to fall back into the color that we're actually after. It's also going to actually help with putting the focus on the helmet as well. And now it finally feels like we've righted it wrong, because this is the exact type of excess that I want to see from my Emperor's Children. It's loud, it's over the top, it's just a little bit extra. And hey, if it's not your kind of thing, look on the bright side. At least we learned how to blend. Drop a comment below and let me know, do you prefer this one or what it looked like originally? As always, a massive thank you to InGames, the Army Painter, and the best Patreon members in the world. Big love, you filthy heretics.